And I kind of like, when I was younger, I was just like, okay, you know, if someone offered me like $50 more, I'd be like, okay, I'll jump on that. You know, like I'd make that calculation. Like there's no like, just like I moved like, and then from slide I went to erg, and I always wanted to ride for erg.
Okay.
Erg was like they were like a board company that Leo Caquinho rode for, and that was his, you know, was my idol. Oh. And then there's like one of the strongest brands for over 30 years. They're still around. George Cugy is the owner. And, we're still friends to this day, and he still does it, which is incredible.
Amazing.
But then once that got available, I was like, went right to it, you know. And then some other company, Kush, which is the direct competitor, they're doing a sponsored event, and they're like, oh, I'll pay for your something. And I was just like, oh, I'll get over there.
You're jumping teams.
I'm like just full jumper, right? Like and then I remember George was like always like so pissed at me, and
oh no,
you know, and over the years, like we have this conversation, and then that ended up, and I went back on erg as I got older. You know, I was like, hey George, I messed up, man. You know, I'd love to be back in the program and help you out. You know, and he got me to Canada, right, to the 1995
Slam City.
Slam City.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, and before we barely had money. It was just a lot of product, and then he just worked so hard to get that ticket, you know, just to get me to go.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and it was cool. And I was kind of right before then. I had gone, you know, Jake and Julian and Cardiel and all those guys went to Brazil. I had visited, you know, San Francisco for a month, and then I went back to Brazil. So they invited me to Slam City. They said, hey, you should go. But, you know, then I had the ticket. So then George helped me out, and we kind of put it all together and went. But that's kind of like, so those sponsors early on, I was like, you know, jumping around a bunch, but you know, I think they realized that I was young. They're cool about it. So
right. But is Slam City kind of where everything started taking off for you? Like you said, like this was like what,
95?
Yeah.
Yeah, 90.
You skate for Etnies.
Yeah, what happened was like
Antihero?
I was see, in Brazil, I went all the way to pro. Like I was pro
for erg
at 15.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, or younger even, 14, 15.
Wow.
Like, and because I qualified first into a vert contest, like all the top riders, and it was like pro. It was like an open.
Okay.
So it's pro am, and then I skated and qualified first. Then ego got in the way, right? Because qualified first, I like show up, you know, next day, I'm like, you know, it's just a hot shot. Then I end up in 8th place because I bailed everything, you know. No. But at least it showed me, and again, those adjustments are great. The ego adjustments are awesome. Yeah. You know, so they suck at the time, but they, you know,
in hindsight,
they're always better for you.
It's a good, everybody needs an adjustment.
Totally.
Again. And
it was like, I turned pro, and it's really funny because in Brazil, it was like, okay, pro am contest, you're in 6th place. Do you want the check or not? Right? I obviously wanted the check,
of course,
you know, but then it meant that I turned pro, right? So, and it was like, okay, well, then I'm pro. Like, give me the check. So then that's kind of like how that happened.
You turned yourself pro.
I turned myself pro by accepting the money.
Yeah.
Wow. And then, but all the other, there was a lot of amateur events there. So then it was just like, then now most of us had gone pro.
So you couldn't go back to the amateur events, obviously.
No.
You got just pros. Now, are they giving you a board now on erg? Or they?
Yes, I had a board. My first board was on erg. Yeah. And that was super cool. Oh. It was this little, what was it? It was like a little chipmunk at this board with his hands in his pocket, kind of walking around.
Bob Burnquist.
You know, it was just like, oh, you have all these. I'll take that one. You know, and it was cool.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So that was my first board. It was an erg board, and I had done a video part. So Cristiano Mateos from the Ultra Skate Park I just mentioned, he had this video magazine called Silly Society. And it was kind of like our 401.
Gotcha.
He did it for like, you know,
I think I've done one.
did a few of them.
I think so, yeah.
And then, and right before that, we did a movie. Dirty Money was our little group. Yeah.
Oh,
so that was the first Brazilian skate video.
Dirty Money.
Dirty Money. Yeah. It was a company, and then it was first the video, and then it was like, you know, the VHS, you know, record to put your parts together. Yeah. Mouse click drawing of your name, you know, just filled up. Like, So and I had done that part for silly for Dirty Money. So then it got to a point where I was like, okay, let me put an actual like a good part with Silly Society, and it was right at 93, 94.
Okay.
And then so when I came to the U.S., when I met Jake down in Brazil and all those guys, I had that tape. So I had just put that out.
Kind of your sponsor.
So it was
tape.
a sponsor me tape, but it was like, no, this is a video magazine that I already in, and this is my skateboarding.
Right.
So then that kind of like got me the attention. And then they're like, hey, you should come out. And Jake, Phelps was always saying like, he was such an inspiration and such a like a motivator in my, he was always saying that because he saw where I was from, and he saw that whole mentality of like, it's easy because you're from another country, so you can think you're less of just because you're thinking all the industry's there, all the big pros are there, so those guys are better.
Yeah.
But he was always like, and all that mentality of like I'm Bob thing. He was always like making sure that I kept that strong, because he would say like, dude, you can be on any company you want. You can get on Plan B. Who do you want me to call? And I was just like, no, it's all good. I just want some, I liked the crew there. Like, I met Tommy and Jim and all those guys, and, Julian already was skating with John and Julian all the time. So hung out at there. That was wild. We just hung out for a month there in San Francisco on 19th and Mission.
Crazy.
And I got the full jolt of madness, but raw skateboarding, right? So that to me was like, oh, okay,
right.
I see what this is about, right? Like, just skate anytime, all the time. Always have your board, no matter what.
Right.
There's no I'm street, I'm this, I'm that. It's like you just skate.
You skate,
right? So that kind of that mold was there. But anyways, it was just, that's kind of how I, got that push. So when I was there with Jim and them, they were like, hey, we'll give you boards, right? Like, so it was like deluxe. So it was like real and all this stuff. So then I had a little photo and they put it somewhere in the catalog, whatever. And it was like, Bob Burnquist, a real amateur. Right. And I was just like, amateur, what the hell? Like,
they just said,
I'm pro. Like I know I've probably been pro in Brazil. Like, what is it? Doesn't count. Like in
you
a whole
haven't seen
other
the chipmunk
country.
board? I mean,
what's up? You need a board? I got boards. But that was just how it's just like, so I had to step in, and that was weird to me. But ego check is great.
There you go.
So it was like, what matters? It's just it's how I skate, and then whatever. That's just a name. But that was like, okay, so you have to be you're coming in flow, and then.
There's steps to it,
right? So then they were like, okay, then they gave me a bunch of boards, and I was like, well, I want to make some money. Like, let me get a bunch of stuff and take to Brazil, and I'll sell, right?
You told that to Jim.
Oh yeah, I was like, like in my mind, I'm going like, I can move, and and Jeff
conversion
and Jeff Clint.
Oh yeah,
right. So, and I was like, okay. I'm going to go to Brazil. I need all the stuff, and so I was like, he's like, yeah, just go over there and grab some stuff. So he had no idea, right? So I go in there and I grab like $6,000 worth of like, gear. Just box
like you're
boards.
not taking anything else back.
No, I'm going like 2 double board, like, boxes with
20 something
wheels and everything, right? Like just packed, just like, and I go in there and then he looks at he comes in, because I was just about to walk out, and he comes in, he's like, yo, Bob, what the fuck? Like, and I was like, no, I told you, I'm taking this to Brazil. He's like, oh, but I was like, dude, I'll pay you in a month, right?
Oh, you said you're paying back?
Yeah, I'm like, no, I'm buying this stuff, right, at cost. I gave him the, like, this stuff I'm buying,
What?
And then I'm going to pay, but I want this in, like, I'm not going to give you the money now, right?
I'm good for it.
Yeah, I'm good for it, right? So I'm sponsored, right, by you guys, so I'm good for it. I kind of used everything I could to get that, and so I took it to Brazil and made like $10,000, right? And then I came back and gave him 5, and I had 4 in my pocket. I was just like, oh, this is what I do now.
I'm an importer exporter.
No, I'm I'm contraband. So I'm starting my own company.
Wow.
So I did it a couple more times, and then I got stopped at like customs in Brazil. And the guy goes to open the box, and then like all these wheels.
What do you have
fall
all
on
these
the ground.
Spitfires for?
No, it's just so many wheels on the ground, right? And he's like, oh, so what's this? He's like, oh, I'm a professional skateboarder. He's like, yeah, but that's a lot of wheels. Well, I use a set a session. Like when we skate, like I'm like, I had this whole story. He's looking at me going like, he knows that I'm stretching it, but he was just like, dude, this kid, so he's like, all right, man. They put it back in, and I made it through. But then that's not a sustainable business, right?
No.
That's not really going to work out that way. And but I did it a few times, and it was cool. And then, but those guys were always super supportive. So that's kind of like how I got into that
camp.
that camp. And then Julian was like, "Hey, I'm going to start a company. You know, like, you want to be with us?" And I was like, "Yeah." He didn't even tell me which one. I was like, "Yeah," because I knew
stranger.
them.
Yeah.
You know, like Julian and John and those guys. You know, I met Jim and Tommy, and those guys are super cool. Like, I was with those guys. So if they say, "Hey, we're going here," it's like, all right, let's go. You know. And,
God. Yeah.
so then he gave me a Bukowski shirt. It was like a portrait of Bukowski in Antihero, kind of like just written.
Sick.
And I was like, "Oh, this is sick." You know, definitely super amped. And then when I went to Slam City, I was already Antihero. I had a real board.
Okay.
I had a Max Schaff, which Vert Reynolds board. A Vert Reynolds Max Shaft board, and with Antihero stickers, Antihero. Yeah. Like,
Okay.
That's kind of.
So you were there at the beginning of Antihero.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
yeah.
awesome.
The start. Yeah. So it was Antihero before it was Antihero. Kind of like it was like that group. You know, that's what I was really stoked on. It was like it was a thing before it was, a thing.
Yeah,
Sure.